Hello everyone, my name is Jeff Rolka. Thank you for checking out my video. While I am using this setup here that has the piano, a request came in that I go over some of the basic singing patterns and show you how they work note-wise, and also talk about scale degrees and solfege. So I am going to do that. I am not going to dilly-dally. Thank you if you've chosen to subscribe. If you haven't yet, I hope that you'll do so now. There are lots of ways that you can support my channel. Those are all in the description. They do include Patreon, where you can get the guides to these videos as I make them, as well as MP3s, so you can take them to practice wherever you so choose. I also want to just quickly mention thank you to all of you who are using the Super Thanks system here on YouTube. That's really amazing, and I really appreciate it. Thank you very much for your support. I truly appreciate it. The cool thing about this piano is that it really gives you not just the sound, but the notes and the keys and all that kind of stuff. And so it's really easy to see what we're doing here. One thing I don't like is that it's currently using all flats. So this is being expressed as G flat major. I would usually refer to it as F sharp major. Generally speaking, they're kind of the same, but it would be better if it gave you sharps and flats, mostly to conform to the idea of 12 major keys, so that F sharp would be the key that has the most sharps, and D flat would have the most flats. 5 flats for D flat, 6 sharps for F sharp, and that covers all 12 keys that way. But in any rate, just bear with me on this. We're going to be in a key that it doesn't matter. We're going to use E flat major, so they're all flats anyways. And these 3 patterns you will hear so frequently in my videos. You will hear them in virtually all singing instruction videos because they are taken from the exercises that have been going on for hundreds of years, and they are also all derived from the major scale and major key areas. So while the arpeggio that I'm going to show you in a moment here does exist in other keys than E flat major, we are talking about it in the context of E flat major, the tonic triad. So these are very, very common patterns. They are important in your song craft, if you will, or your singing of songs, because these patterns form the foundation of melody. When you take a look at melodies from songs, they will reflect the scale that you are in, the key that you are in. That's how this whole thing works. So the first pattern is 5-note scale. On the piano, it would look like this. You have E flat, F, G, A flat, B flat, A flat, G, F, E flat. Now, yes, it does keep going. There's a couple more pitches above the B flat, but in vocal exercises, we generally go up to the 5th and then come back down. Yes, there are exercises that do other things, but the fundamental exercises that we use, the baseline exercises for vocalizations, will generally go up to the 5th and then come back down. If you want to think about them in solfege, which I would encourage you to do, then you could think of them as do, re, mi, fa, so, fa, mi, re, do. If you spend some time practicing them in solfege, you will begin to establish relative pitch. And that will mean that eventually you can just play the tonic do, re, mi, fa, so, fa, mi, re, do, and you won't need to play the pitches all the time. You will establish relative pitch. This is a very, very good skill to have, especially if you are struggling with intonation or transcription. Working on your solfege, very, very good. The next pattern you will hear very frequently in vocalizations is an arpeggio. This is 1, 3, 5, 3, 1, or again, do, Once again, practicing the solfege will help you establish the relationship between the pitches that will help your intonation. And this is especially helpful with skips so that you know exactly the note that you're going to. You can hear it before you sing it. And for those of you wanting to work on your upper register technique or singing high notes, if you will, even more important, knowing where that pitch is before you start to sing it is critical for getting set up properly for it, for having the appropriate amount of subglottic air pressure underneath the pitch so that you come in nicely with a good balanced tonal onset, nicely in tune, and then you have the flexibility and freedom to move on from there. Finally, the pattern that I'm going to show you is extremely common on my channel, maybe not as common on other channels. It's kind of the same as the first pattern, but we start on the fifth instead of the tonic. So in E flat major, you would start on so. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Or again with solfege. So, fa, mi, re, do, re, mi, fa, so, fa, mi, re, do. And sorry for the time adjustment there. I realized I should probably try to go a little slower just to make it easier to follow along. Starting on so helps us to begin to learn what engagement is required, what amount of vowel modification is required. Not so much for that key for me, but as you move up into the zona de passaggio, then you practice learning what that is to establish the correct vowel modification, the correct amount of subglottic air pressure at the tonal onset. It is generally easier to start like that than to try to start low and go up to it. If you start low and go to it, you will almost certainly have habits around that direction of travel. In other words, on an ascending phrase. This is usually how our habits around singing high notes form. We start low and we go high. This is not always the most advantageous. So we learn to start on the high note, learn to come down, narrowing and adjusting vowel modification as we descend, and then remembering where we began and going back to it. Now, if you don't know what you're going back to or if it's effective, that's a little tricky. This is where recording yourself can be helpful. This is where talking to your teacher about it can be helpful, or getting a lesson with a teacher, or even me if you like. This is where we can help, where teachers can help you. But if you don't want to do that, or it's out of your financial means, record yourself. Set it aside for 24, 36 hours, and then listen to it with an idea of constructive criticism, and ask yourself, do I think that's my zona de passaggio? Did I modify the vowel? What does it sound like? Is it squeezy? Does it sound forced or belted or pushed or pulled or any of those things? And if the answer is yes, then investigate vowel modifications, investigate your Arpeggio breath management, start a little bit lower, and try again. The best part about thinking about scale degrees as numbers or solfege is that you can easily move to other keys, keeping the relationships the same. So if E flat was working really well for you, then you could move up to E and then F and so on and so forth. And I feel a bit self-conscious about moving in semitones because I know that that's going to show you an A flat, which should really be a G sharp, because you'll get two A's in this key. There's the A flat, then it gives you an A, and then a B. You must have all 7 letters present in a key. So E major in the way that the keyboard is reading it is giving you that A flat and A natural. That's not correct. It should be G sharp. The G flat is also incorrect too. It should be F sharp. But those little things, it's important to me to give you the absolute best information as I am aware of it. And so that is kind of grating on my nerves a little bit with this. I suppose I could change it on the fly, but I'm getting off topic here. Solfege. Solfege lets you change keys really quickly, very easily, keeping the relationships the same. It helps you work on your relative pitch. It can help you sing better in tune. It can help you anticipate skips so that you go right to the pitch and you're nice and in tune. And it is especially helpful when we're talking about upper register performance, singing up over the break if you like. Thank you for a great suggestion that came in on the channel, and I always appreciate it. It's entirely plausible that you might want me to elaborate on this. I'm happy to do so. Just leave a comment in what ways that you'd like me to elaborate, and I will do that. Thank you again if you've chosen to subscribe. Thank you if you're a Patreon supporter or you're utilizing the super thanks. I really appreciate it. Have a wonderful day. Take really good care of your voices. Enjoy singing, and hopefully we'll see you again. Bye.